How do you transform a star from a sparkly vampire to the Dark Knight? That's a job for the costume department, and the folks behind the scenes at the Batman have it under control. Let's take a look at Robert Pattinson's soon-to-be uniform and see how it stacks up against other outfits in Bruce Wayne's closet. If you're excited to see Batman on the big screen once again, you're not alone.
I'm Batman.
Actor Robert Pattinson is a huge fan, and not just because he's landed the coveted role of billionaire Bruce Wayne after Ben Affleck stepped down. Affleck said, "Movies deserve to be made by somebody who's dying to do it and can't wait," and that wasn't me at the time. Affleck called Pattinson a great actor and seems confident in his ability to bring the Dark Knight to life. And Pattinson is definitely passionate about the project and the character himself, saying, "Batman was really kind of the only superhero who I really had any kind of connection with when I was growing up. He's been getting tips from Dark Knight trilogy director Christopher Nolan, but he's going to have to suit up and get used to being in a presumably uncomfortable costume." Pattinson said, "I mean, it's definitely unlike anything I've ever worked on. Even though the Batman isn't due to hit theaters until October 1st, 2021, we've already had the chance to check out some serious details about the new costume, including one aspect fans suspect is a super cool Easter egg." Director Matt Reeves was kind enough to give us a preview of the suit via Twitter, and even in this short clip, we see a lot of interesting detail. Obviously, something that stuck out right away was the iconic bat symbol emblazoned on Pattinson's chest. I mean, how else are you supposed to know it's Batman and not some random weirdo in a cape?
I'm Batman.
Even though the shape is one that we've come to expect, it's definitely different from other movie suits like the ones we've seen worn by Ben Affleck and Christian Bale. It's not made of fabric, and it might be a surprising and dark detail straight out of the comics. We all know Bruce Wayne's origin story by now, and that his parents are unfortunately as gone as Peter Parker's dear Uncle Ben, but in Detective Comics issue 1000, we saw Batman retrieve the weapon used by mugger Joe Chill on that fateful night outside the theater. Even Alfred thinks that it's a little creepy to keep it, and Bruce does more than stick it in a display case. He melts it down and sticks it under the bat symbol in his suit so it can protect him rather than cause him harm. I'll let you decide whether that falls on the scale from poetic to grim, but if this fan theory is true, then the symbol on the costume isn't just there so fans can recognize him, it has a deeply personal meaning to the hero, which reminds me of another caped crusader. Be honest, did you think the S on Superman's costume stands for Superman? Come on, his brilliant disguise may be a pair of sunglasses, but let's give Cowl some credit here. What we consider the Superman logo isn't even the letter S. It's actually a Kryptonian symbol which translates to hope.
Well, here it's an S.
And was Kal-El's family crest before he was sent to Earth and adopted. Not only does the insignia of the House of El make him immediately recognizable to innocent and potential evildoers alike, but it has a subtle and poignant meaning to the person wearing the suit. It may not serve a secondary function like the smelted metal of Bruce Wayne's suit, but since Superman is pretty much indestructible, he doesn't really need any help in that regard. Not only does the bat symbol seem to be metallic, but it appears as though the costume itself is more than just simple spandex. As much as we love the classic Batman costume, it does make sense that he should probably be wearing something with a little bit of stopping power, considering his line of work. If you're a hero without powers, an upgraded suit is never a bad idea. After all, a suit may not make you a hero, but it certainly helps keep you alive, and that's a very important part of the job. This kind of tech-savvy protective suit reminds me of some worn by the Flash. Yes, the Flash does have the superhuman ability to run at incredible speeds, but sometimes he needs a little bit of help, and there's no shame in that. His suits have to be carefully constructed not to burst into flames when he runs, because that would definitely put a damper on his crime-solving abilities. In the Justice League movie, we actually got to see Bruce Wayne giving Flash's suit a once-over, and it became clear that this is a functional costume as well as a fashionable one. Well, fashionable by superhero standards, at least. His suit was constructed out of material suitable for use in space, which definitely gives it a massive advantage over a simple spandex suit. Barry Allen might struggle with the concept of brunch, but he put together a quality super suit. While we don't know exactly what capabilities Pattinson's suit has yet, it's clearly made out of strong stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's on par with Barry's suit, considering Bruce's wealth and access to resources. Even though Batman's suit looks solid, his cowl looks much more simple and stitched together. Of course, there's always the possibility that it's made out of a high-tech material, but it looks like it offers less protection than the rest of the suit. The suit's collar is also raised, which is a big deviation from other Batman costumes we've seen on the big screen. The collar and the cowl seem to be two different pieces instead of a combined unit like those worn by Charlie Cox's Daredevil from the Netflix show of the same name. Of course, it's easy to see similarities based on the dramatic red lighting, but the costumes really do look a lot alike. Both heroes wear masks that cover their eyes but leave their mouths and chins exposed, and unlike more classic Daredevil outfits, this one is toned down instead of bright red, which gives the hero a more serious and subtle look. Both characters have tragic backstories and are widely regarded as dark and gritty, so the aesthetic similarities in their costumes makes complete sense. Still though, I can't help but wonder if Batman's prominent collar will have a functional purpose or if it's simply a stylistic choice. This preview was tantalizing, but it left out some big aspects of the costume fans were curious about. Thankfully, we have some behind-the-scenes photos, which will fill in a lot of the blanks. Images were leaked of the Batman filming at the Glasgow Necropolis Cemetery in Scotland. We see someone who appears to be a stunt person dressed in the Batman costume, giving us a glimpse of his character's iconic bat ears. It will be interesting to see whether these appendages act as a communication device, a housing for gadgets, or just part of the Dark Knight's personal brand. These ears are reminiscent of Wolverine's classic costume, but there's a reason we don't really see this version on the big screen anymore. According to Logan director James Mangold, he chose not to use this particular outfit because it's more about branding Wolverine than helping him function as a hero. Mangold claims that since Logan is the least narcissistic of all superheroes, why would he want such a distinctive and loud costume? But Batman is no stranger to branding, and the fact that most of his possessions start with the word bat should make that pretty clear.
I am Batman!
Hey, he didn't get to be a brilliant businessman without understanding the importance of branding, so why shouldn't that carry over to his superhero career? Supposedly, the version of Bruce Wayne we'll be seeing in the Batman isn't as experienced as Ben Affleck's version. We're seeing a relatively rookie Batman, so it makes sense that he'd consider aesthetics and building a brand important elements of his costume. And in this movie's defense, Batman's cowl is way less ridiculous looking on the big screen than Wolverine's bright yellow costume would be. For another close-up look at Batman's costume, check out this amazing 3D portrait created by artist Leonardo Menegon. Leonardo, I hope I got your last name right. Without the glare of red lighting, it's a lot easier to make out details in this super suit, including the metallic Batman logo and details on the shoulders and chest. We also see more of a hint of Batman's cape, which was missing in the behind-the-scenes images and video. It's possible Batman can choose to lose the cape, or maybe it retracts into that oversized collar of his, but it could also be that wearing a giant cape while driving a motorcycle probably isn't the safest thing that you can do. There's a reason superhero suit designer Edna Mode has a strict no capes rule.
No capes!
Maybe the Dark Knight simply isn't wearing one for this particular scene, or perhaps it'll be added in during post-production so as not to interfere with the stunt performer. Bruce Wayne might not have as giant of a suit collection as, say, someone like Tony Stark, but he's had more than a few different versions of his costume over the years. In fact, there's one particular comic book creation some fans believe was the inspiration for Robert Pattinson's Batman outfit. Earlier I mentioned that this version of the Dark Knight is relatively new to the whole masked vigilante game, so the idea of him wearing a more bare bones version of the costume makes sense. Check out what our hero wore in Batman Zero Year, written by Scott Snyder and illustrated by Greg Capullo. And no, Scott Snyder is not related to Justice League director Zack Snyder, although he's not above pretending to be his dad to confuse fans. Zero Year redefined the origin story of Batman in the New 52 and showed the Dark Knight wearing a pared down sleeves optional costume. It's actually kind of weird how much a lack of sleeves makes Batman look less prepared, but the idea is that this is a simplified costume for his foray into crime fighting. Even his more basic motorcycle looks similar to the one we saw in the behind-the-scenes images from Scotland. While it's possible the Zero Year Batman served as the initial inspiration for this movie version, we have to say that adding sleeves was definitely a good call. Batman is hardly the only superhero who started out with an incredibly basic and, let's be honest, sometimes silly-looking costume and ended up with a sleeker, more modern version somewhere down the road. Just compare the Wonder Woman outfit Linda Carter wore in the original Wonder Woman show to the one worn by actress Gal Gadot in more modern movies. No wonder Diana can't get dressed by twirling around anymore, since her getup is actual armor instead of a simple fabric suit. All you have to do is compare Adam West's Batman suit to Robert Pattinson's, and you'll see the Dark Knight went through a similar glow-up over the years. What do you think about the costume Robert Pattinson will be donning for the Batman? Tell us about what features you hope it includes or any gadgets you think should be left out in the comments section. Before you go, make sure to click on the subscribe button and turn on your notifications for more videos from us here at Screen Rant. We'll see you next time.